It feels like I've been lost for far too long. And dreams of more, forever chasing places I belong.
Recording vocals for songs, especially if you're still in the songwriting phase, is hard. Even if the singer's doing a good job. There's a lot of info out there on what to do and what to absolutely avoid. And more often than not, the information is contradicting. So, how do we start? Let's jump right in. Hi, I'm Mahmoud. I'm a musician, producer, and audio engineer from Switzerland. Here's a quick overview of what we're going to be discussing in this video. First, the gear. Secondly, the space. Third, that's hard, recording technique. Number 4, arrangement. And 5, fundamental mixing. If you're looking to learn about any of these topics specifically, feel free to jump around using the timestamps below. Let's jump right into gear. Let's talk about what you need to record realistically. You will need a computer, a DAW of your choice. I am using Cubase, an audio interface, and a mic. That's the bare minimum. If that's all you can afford, that is totally sufficient, and you can absolutely get great results with a relatively simple setup like that. When it comes to what interface a mic, whatever you can afford is good enough. Of course, spending a bit more money on a better mic is worth it, but don't let only having a SM57 stop you from doing anything. Get what you can afford and get to work. If you have a spare $350 that you can spend on a mic, I can highly recommend this. Is it gonna focus? Focus. I can highly recommend the Aston Spirit right here. I find that this mic punches way above its price class. And it works really well for singing as well as screaming on a multitude of voices. The vocals we're going to be looking at were recorded using this specific mic, in case you're wondering what you're getting yourself into. One additional thing I would suggest you get, if you have the money for it, is a preamp and a compressor. Or alternatively, a channel strip that has both in one. PreSonus makes a relatively cheap channel strip for around $300. Why would you buy that compressor if you have that stuff digital? That seems expensive, right? Because it will fundamentally change how the singer performs. Recording through a compressor was the single biggest step in my learning how to record vocals well, bar none. It made such a huge difference in the performance, which means the tracks are way better. And on top of that, there's almost no way for you to destroy the recording with compression on the way in, which is what might scare some of you. Don't be scared. Analog recording chains are super forgiving and save you so much time down the line because you'll need to edit less, tune less, work less all around. If you can afford it, it's a no-brainer. And speaking of no-brainers, this one's completely free. Please like this video, leave a comment and subscribe. It helps me a lot and hopefully you'll get something out of it too, in the form of more lessons or tutorials maybe. Please tell me what topic you would like a deep dive on. I've done some programming basics for drums. I've done some bass stuff here and there, some guitar stuff. Ideally, maybe it's a topic that isn't covered often on YouTube, so I can actually provide some fresh perspective. Let's move on to point number 2, space. There's a lot of tips and tricks on how and where to record vocals, as well as what to do with your room. If you can afford to acoustically treat your room, that is never a bad decision. If you can't, don't let it deter you. Some people will tell you to do weird stuff like put up some mattresses on the wall, or even weirder, record in your closet with lots of clothes around you to avoid as much reverb as possible. I have tried the latter, and unless you enjoy being literally in a closet, being stuffed in between your clothes and trying to perform, it's a bad idea. If you don't have a treated room or vocal booth and need to record in whatever space you have, here's some alternatives for you to try. You can try one of these weird vocal booths that just fit your head in. I have personally never tried one, but I have heard good things from them if you're comfortable using those. They are a bit pricey at around $400, but they might be worth it. One thing I have tried is this specific thing here, the Halo Shadow. This is not an Aston ad. I just bought both this mic and the Shadow as part of a bundle. I had a different product before this from a competitor, and this Shadow is far, far better. It really helps with killing some of the reflections that would otherwise hit the mic, especially if your room is untreated. It's not the perfect solution, but it is a big improvement. If neither of those things are in the cards for you right now, because money, then here's my suggestion. Stand as far away from any walls as you can, and once you've recorded the vocal, cut out all of the negative space in the track where you aren't singing. Don't just use a noise gate. Don't be lazy. Cut the stuff out and fade it correctly. That way, you'll have the best chance of having fewer reflections hitting the mic, and when they do hit, hopefully, your phrase is already through and you can just cut that reverb out. If you have a carpet somewhere, get that in your room as well, because reflections don't just come from the side. Most people forget that there's a ceiling and a floor. Unfortunately, treating a room is pricey, and there's really not much else I can say here. Your room is your room, and invest where you can and just work with what you got. Number 3, recording technique. Depending on the mic you got, you might use it in different ways. If you got one that you can hold in your hands, like this SM7B, or one that's more sensitive and should live in a cage like this one, either choice is fine. What you need to make sure though, and that goes for both if the singer is holding the mic or if it's on a stand, is that the distance between the vocalist and the mic isn't constantly changing. You want to limit that factor as much as possible to get a more consistent tone. Holding the SM7B like this is fine. Or you can add a pop filter to get more distance if that is what you want. For a mic on the stand, use a pop filter. I don't have one on this one right now, as your measuring stick. And have the vocalist stick to that distance as much as they can. Instruct them. Next, the preamp and compression. If you have a normal interface like a Scarlett or a comparable product, just make sure you aren't clipping. Have the vocalist be as loud as they can and turn it up as far as the preamp allows without hitting the red, and you're fine. If you have a compressor, I like to be aggressive with my compression, but that's just me. I like using a medium attack. You can choose to go with a slow attack even, if you prefer, as well as a fast release. That way, the front of the singer's note doesn't get cut off due to the compression in kicking in too quickly. And the compressor lets go quickly enough after the phrase is through in order to catch the following phrase. I personally aim for anything between 8 to 15 decibels of gain reduction, which is a lot, but it works for me. My compressor settings never change much. I only dial in the threshold depending on the singer's volume until I hit those gain reduction targets, and that's it. You're ready to record. At this point, let's jump into Cubase and let me show you the arrangement that we're going to be working with. All right, let's jump into number 4, arrangement. Now, before we begin, just a quick note, I had to change to this Lavelle mic as I'm screen recording right now and I can't record the mic and the screen at the same time for some reason. I apologize for that. If the sound is off, you know why. I hope that the screen recording itself will be fine though. Anyway, let's move on to arrangement. The arrangement itself is going to largely depend on your song and the rest of the instrumental arrangement. We're going to go from the simplest possible way to use vocals, meaning just one vocal track, to a bigger arrangement as is found in this specific song. Keep in mind, you can always go crazier, but for most needs, this is going to cover it. The session you see on screen right now is what I use to record almost always. It is made to be fast and quick and easy to use and efficient, and you can get this specific template for free. Just visit the link in the description, which is my website, mammoth-audioengineering.com. I also have a video explaining the whole template, how to use it, and it's all for free. While we're at it, this is a small channel. So I don't have any sponsors or anything like that. So if this video helped you out at all, please like, comment, and subscribe. I would really, really appreciate that. And I would also appreciate hearing what you think and if this video helped you. Now, the instrumental section of this song comprises of bass, drums, and 2 rhythm guitars, which is a fairly simple arrangement, which gives us a lot of space to add lots of vocals. What you see in pink here are all vocal tracks. This was a very deliberate choice while we were writing the song, so keep that in mind. If you want big vocals, you need to leave space for them. First, I'll show you the final result, and then I'll tear it all down and show you how we got here. I won't be able to play the whole chorus because there seems to be some sort of glitch right when this tempo change happens over here. So I apologize in advance for that, but here is the chorus.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. And there's forever chasing places I belong. It's so rough and rough, but nothing changes if we're complacent with another song. It feels like I've been lost for far too long.
Yeah, there you go. As you just heard, that was the final result. The song's called Dreams of More by my band Atropus, and it is out now. And now let me quickly turn off all of the plugins and what we don't need right now for the demonstration to build it back up. Let's fast forward this. And we're back. We'll just start with one vocal track. Unmuted, untreated, unmixed, basically. I'll just leave the limiter on at the very end of the chain, this bad boy here, so we can keep it loud enough over the instrumental to have it audible at the very least. What you'll hear now is one vocal track. Everything that is whited out is not playing. Only the pink track is playing, which is one vocal track at the same time. I also muted the delays and reverbs. Here's how that sounds. This is just the vocal by itself.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. and dreams of more. Forever chasing places.
You get the idea. And here it is in the context of the song.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. And dreams of more. Forever chasing places.
I would say for an instrumental section that leaves that much space for vocals, this doesn't cut it. If this was an acoustic piece, this could potentially be enough, but we're going for a big metal chorus. So let's add some tracks. Aside from the main vocal, I like to record 2 additional vocal tracks. Same exact part, just pan them hard left and hard right and turn them down a few decibels, usually around 6, does the trick. Again, there's going to be no processing, nothing. It's just the raw vocal tracks, so you get a feel for how that's supposed to sound. Here it is again, same exact part, just tripled.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. And dreams of more. Forever chasing places I belong. So love can grow.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. How can we add more depth? The main vocal here is in a higher baritone register. I'm not quite a tenor, but definitely not in the bass register. So I had our drummer Sandro add a vocal track an octave below my voice. Let's add that track to the 3 existing ones that we just heard. Let's solo that out so you can get a feel for how that sounds.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. And dreams of more. Forever chasing places.
You get the idea. Fun fact, I actually tried recording that octave lower part myself at first, but I am just not good at singing that low. And we just decided to overdub it with his voice. And that's what that sounds like, together with my attempt at the lower octave.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. And dreams of more.
And here's how that sounds with the music.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. And dreams of more. Forever chasing places I've been.
Okay, that filled out the lacking low end in the main voice pretty nicely, I think. But what if we want more? I hear you say harmonies, and you will be right. Let's add harmonies. You can do this in multiple ways. One way is to add a melody a third, a fifth, or a sixth above or below the main track, which then follows the main melody or some part of the chord being played. Depending on the song, one or more of these will sound appropriate. If you don't know what those terms mean, here's a rough crash course. Within a scale, instead of always referring to the notes by their actual names, you give them numbers. Hence terms like second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. When you harmonize a melody for vocals, most people like to skip the note right next to the one they want to harmonize and pick the next one above or below. Quick example, if the main voice is singing a C and the song is in C major, we'd call that the one. That C note is the one. And we want to harmonize that. So here's C, we skip the note D, which is right next to it, and we land on E. So C and E together will sound good together most of the time for vocals. So the 1 and the 3. Alternatively, you could go down in the scale. So if we skip the B right next to the C, we land on the note A. This can work too. Keep skipping and picking one until you find what you like and go from there. Keep in mind, these are not rules, this is just a guideline. So pick one, skip one, pick one, skip one. That's how you harmonize stuff. Now, back to our arrangement. Our guitarist, Buri, sang these, and as you can tell from looking at the screen, we doubled each harmony line. These are these two here. For the most part, we added a third above, but it's not quite following the main vocal everywhere. During the first quarter of this chorus, Buri's singing a descending line and following the chords passing by. More specifically, he is singing the third of each chord passing by. Then in the second quarter, he is singing a third up from what the main melody is. The same melody, just a third higher. Then in the third quarter, he goes up to sing the fifth of each chord, and on he goes. We keep changing up what the harmony vocal does, and here's how that sounds by itself.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. In dreams of more, forever chasing places I belong.
Here's how the harmonies sound with the vocals from before.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. In dreams of more, forever chasing places I belong.
And here is how that song, how the harmonies sound in context of the music.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. In dreams of more, forever chasing places I belong. So love can grow.
Excuse the levels, this is not mixed and the levels are very off right now, but you get the idea. What if we want more? Let's keep stacking. We added another harmony on top of the one you just heard, also sung by Burak, but only a few lines to emphasize them. Let's check that out. Here's the harmonies by themselves.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. In dreams of more, forever chasing.
This sounds so good. I love this. And now that we've heard all of the different parts, let's check out the a cappella all together.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long. In dreams of more, forever chasing places I belong.
And that's it for the arrangement. Keep adding stuff until you like it. And then let's check out the mixing. We're going to do this very quick and dirty because the specific settings will do very little for you because you have a different voice than the voices recorded here. But the chain itself might provide some insight. Let's go through it. I'm just gonna start with the main vocal because the chain for all the vocals is pretty much the exact same. Maybe some tweaks here and there, but it's the same chain. So let's turn that chain on, and actually let's turn that limiter off that we put on to make it louder. And let's check this out. So first thing we have is an EQ to get rid of the low end, some low end rumble, some low mids boosted, small cut in the higher mids, and a shelf boost. Well, not, it's a bell, but it's to push everything up. A compressor, which is doing some more work. And then we have a channel strip, which is using both the EQ section as well as the compressor. And then we have this wonderful plugin, the Decapitator by Soundtoys. This is a great plugin to add some saturation, some distortion to the voice. And last but not least, on the main track is this de-esser. Sometimes I put it first, sometimes I put it last, depending on what the raw vocal sounds like. Here, I didn't feel like I needed it until I had added all of the compression. Suddenly the S's started to sound a bit too abrasive. And that chain goes on all of these tracks here. So let's turn that on. Same here on the harmonies. On the bus, we have another EQ, doing some more low end cut and then another high boost. Let's turn these on. And another EQ, last but not least, another de-esser. This is for the main vocals, just to glue them together a little bit more. And on the vocal sum, we have Soothe, which I'm using as another vocal de-esser because all of the vocals are coming together, both the lead vocals, the harmonies, all of the stuff on the side, everything is coming together. And another EQ with this subtle move, I guess. And last but not least, a limiter. Let's turn on the reverb and the delay, and here's what the acapella sounds like when it's mixed.
It feels like I've been lost for far too long, and dreams of more, forever chasing places I belong. So love can grow, for nothing changes if we're complacent. We've known this all along. It feels like I've been lost for far too long.
There we have it. Keep in mind, this sort of arrangement works incredibly well for screaming vocals as well. So if you want to see a deep dive into how to record screamed vocals, we can totally do that. Just let me know in the comments below. And that is how I like to go about vocals. Needed to sound more intimate and raw? Do one track. Needed to sound like a duet? Do a second voice with a harmony. More like a big rock chorus, triple the main vocal, one even more polished, just keep adding like I showed you here in this session. If you made it this far, I thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave your deep dive suggestions down below. And with that, I bid thee farewell. Have an awesome day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.